Hi guys, in this video I want to deep dive into the camera. Yes, so in this video I want to deep dive into the camera app of this phone, the Vivo X100 Pro. And yeah, especially with camera phones like the Vivo X100 Pro and the Xiaomi 14 Ultra, I think it's very important to know what the camera not only is capable in terms of image quality, but also what it is capable in terms of software, right? Because software in the end is the most important thing. Without software, you are not able to take any photos. And without any cool features, you also are not able to separate yourself from all the rest that have normal smartphones. So this is why I thought let's do a deep dive into the camera app, and I'm going to mainly show you all the options, all the features, and yeah, feel free to jump around. I will include timestamps so that you don't have to waste your time on sections you're not interested in. Okay, let's go. I just opened the camera app and we have this very exciting object to photograph, my beautiful Rubik's Cube. And yes, I know how to solve it. And the video will start with a general overview over all the shooting modes that are available in the camera app. And then we will go a little bit into detail in the different shooting modes. So we have the normal photo mode, then we have a portrait mode, which applies a blurry background on your photos. We have dedicated night mode when you want to shoot at night. And we have snapshot mode, and we will come to these modes later. Then we have the video mode, self-explanatory for shooting video. We have cinematic portrait. This is also a video mode, but it applies a blurry background, makes it more cinematic. Then we can click to more, and then we have a very large amount of other options like high resolution. This will then take the full megapixel count and shoot a photo, panorama mode, ultra HD document mode for scanning documents, a mode for slow motion, a mode for shooting time lapses and long exposures. Then we also, like the Xiaomi 14 Ultra, have a super moon mode, astrophotography mode, and we have a special Zeiss co-developed mode for landscapes and for architecture. We have the Pro mode, a mode specialized for shooting food, and we have a live photo where it takes a photo and a small video, and you have kind of a live photo. And then we can go to edit here on the top right corner, and we can change the icons on the homepage mode. So we have snapshot, night, portrait, and we can add more modes to the homepage for quick access. Photo and video are grayed out because these modes are always on the homepage, but you can, for example, also add the Pro mode and remove, for example, the night mode, and I will do this, night mode removed. And for that I will add the Pro mode, because Pro mode I think is more useful than the other modes. And then you can click done, and when we return to the home page, you will see that now the Pro mode is part of this strip down below. But now let's start to go into the different modes, and we are going to start with photo mode. In photo mode you have access to the different lenses. The 0.6 is the ultra wide, the 1x is the wide, and then we have 2x, which is a digital zoom. We have the 4.3x, and we have the 10x. And what's nice is that the focal length will be displayed when you click on the X zoom levels, right? You can see 1 is 23 millimeters, 2 is 46 millimeters. And also the transition is quite smooth, I have to say. You can also click and hold and then drag your finger across, and then you will also see what the native lenses are, right? So 0.6 is 15, 1 is 23, and then we have the super tele lens, which is 4.3x and 100 millimeters, and all the other numbers here are digital zoom, right? And it can go up to 100x. So this is the zoom level. Then you are able to change on the bottom left to close up. So if you want to shoot something very close, then there will be an automatic close-up mode, and if you disable it, you can see the phone says move further away because it's not in the focusing distance. Now it's again possible. So this is useful when you don't want to shoot close up, then you can deactivate it. Then you have this magic wand icon, and these are the different filters you can apply, like black and white, or grapefruit, or night breeze, whatever. Then you can of course click and drag to change exposure, very easy. Click to focus and then at the same time drag to change the exposure. You can also click and hold, and then the phone will say focus and exposure locked. This is very useful if you want to lock the focus and exposure, so you don't want the exposure to change between different shots. So this is useful, click and hold. And then in the top row you have on the left direct access to Google Lens, right? You can click, snap a photo, and then automatically get Google Lens results. You can toggle the flash, auto, on, always enabled or off. Then here in the middle you can choose between different color modes. You have vivid, textured, and the Zeiss natural. And I have to say I shot most of my photos in the Zeiss natural color mode. It's quite nice, but you also can choose a more saturated image with vivid or a more it's hard to describe how the texture works, just try it out yourself. Then you can enter, and this is also very interesting with this flower symbol, the super macro mode. And for the super macro mode, the phone will switch to the super tele lens, and then you are able to focus very closely. As you can see, you can focus even closer. And at some point the phone will tell you to move further away, but it's always a good idea to check if it still can focus, and you can snap a picture. Then you have a really nice macro photo. So this is the super macro mode. Very handy to have it directly available in the camera app. And then you can click the gears icon for the quick settings, and in the top row you can change the aspect ratio 1:1, 4:3, or 16:9, or full. You can use a timer. You can toggle the grid lines on or off. You can toggle on or off the level meter. You can toggle on or off it's called shake reminder, but it's basically this little dot in the middle that moves when the phone is moving. And you can see it's yellow now, so now the phone is perfectly still. And when you start to shake it a little vigorously, then this dot will move, and it will show you that the phone currently is not still. Then you have Effects Master. With Effects Master, you have access when you scroll on the Y-axis, you get access to exposure, and on the X-axis you get control to saturation. So you can very easily turn the image black and white, or you can increase the saturation. And also on top you can see what you just set, and you can also color in exposure, and you can reset it by clicking on the settings. Normally I have this turned off. And then you can also enable or disable the watermark. There are several watermarks available, and you also have more watermark settings. You can, for example, also use a video watermark and choose borders, stuff like this. So a lot of options for watermarking. Then you have the motion autofocus. You can use autofocus or manual focus. And we have HDR, which can be disabled or enabled. That's the photo mode. And if we want to have more settings, and I will do this one time for everything, because these are the general settings. Here you again can set the watermark. You can enable or disable the sound, location. You can enable if the selfie will be mirrored. So you can enable the super wide angle correction. So it will then correct any distortion that is happening due to using the wide angle. You can choose which settings should be kept when you choose them. For example, When you choose portrait mode, you close the app and enter the app again. Then portrait mode will keep the settings. Then some settings for the motion autofocus. So there's the autofocus tracking, keep track and focus of people and pets in real time. And you have the manual focus tracking where you have to double tap to lock focus. So you can do this automatically or by double tapping. That's nice that you have two options. Then you have the smart recommendations. So if you take a photo, then you will sometimes get a smart recommendation. Like I said at the beginning, for example, use document scanning mode. And this is also available for videos. Then you have some portrait features. So you can change the zoom button style. You can either choose the focal length or the zoom ratio. I always leave it on focal length. That's great. And then there's also a beauty mode where you can, for example, remove molds, or you can also enable portrait framing. For this, we have to disable the shake reminder. Let's do this very quickly. Then it's portrait features. Now you can use portrait framing. Applies only to the rear camera in photo and video mode. And what it does, it basically will change the composition. So it will use a framing by, for example, zooming in to the lens. I will disable this and also disable modes because I like to frame my photos myself. Then we have some professional functions that apply to Pro mode. I have them all enabled. This is basically showing a metering EV and histogram, the waveforms or audio levels. I like them all because it's always useful. Then you can have some options for photo mode. So you can have touch shutter where you just can tap the screen to take a photo. You can have the voice shutter or the palm shutter, show your palm to take a photo, or say cheese to take a photo. Then we have enhanced night sky. This is for nights and supermoon modes where it enhances the sky. Finished photo orientation prompt. When your device is parallel to the ground, previews in photo and Ultra HD document will indicate the orientation of finished photos. Nice option perhaps. Then we have some options for video, some settings, the default resolution and frame rate. This is very nice. So I can set my video that it defaults to 4K 30 when I open the app. This can be set. Then I can set the codec, H.264 or H.265. Then you can choose the bitrate, standard or high. Let's go to high. High is always better. Then you have 3D sound tracking. So it will track with motion autofocus your subject. Nice when you are filming people. And then we have auto low light FPS. So in dark environments, video will be recorded at 24 FPS because 24 FPS means the shutter can be lower. And we have off-screen recording. So when your device is inactive and stable for a long time in video, professional video, slow-mo or cinematic portrait mode, it will automatically enter off-screen recording to extend the recording duration, which basically means the screen will turn off. It's also a handy feature. Okay, these are the general settings that are available from everywhere in the app. And now let's go to portrait mode. And these are some new options. So as you saw in the settings in portrait mode, you have the focal length 24, 50, 85 classic portrait focus focal length, and you also have 100 millimeters. And then you can also access some portrait filters. These are now specific to portrait. You give this gray and black and white. You can also adjust the filter strength and every time. Then you have this face icon. You can apply some skin smoothing and skin tones and whitening of teeth and stuff like this. So some effects. And then we have this here, and this is also very nice. You can directly change the bokeh. So we have the natural bokeh, and you can also change the strength of the bokeh by simulating different aperture openings. You can also completely turn the bokeh off, and you have this dot indicating where it's default. And then you have different Zeiss focus styles. For example, the Biotar, B-Speed Sonar, Planar, Distagon. Then you have the Cine Flare, which imitates a flare. I cannot show it to you. Then you have a very interesting option, the Cinematic Flare. And as you can see, the aspect ratio changed to a cinematic widescreen aspect ratio. And basically, this mimics anamorphic lenses. And you are also able to click and enable a lens flare. If you click on info, you will see what it does right before and after standard or portrait. So Zeiss cinematic style bokeh brings a cinematic touch and offers an oval shaped bokeh style in and out of focus background. If you tap the star whatever button, Zeiss cinematic style bokeh produces blue flares that add more cinematic vibes. And we can try this. We only need a light source in the image. So let's look at the USB interface here, snap a picture, and then you will see that this blue flare was added where the lights are. So it can be quite interesting if you want to shoot some cinematic futuristic images. Then the cinematic bokeh could be very nice. So in portrait mode, you actually have a lot of options to play around with background blur and the amount of background blur, which is very nice. And last but not least, you have the lens selection down here. So you this is called the portrait lens kit, and we have, for example, two 50mm styles with natural portrait and classic portrait, and this will also apply some editing and also use specific bokeh styles, right? So you can either use a focal length and choose your bokeh style by yourself, or you can use some presets by clicking on the lens icon. You can have the landscape portrait, and this will use the Distagon bokeh. You have the 35mm, which uses a B-speed bokeh spot, so this will always be indicated on top here. And then you have two 50mm that use all different bokeh styles, and they will look different. And you can always click the info button to get more information and to see how the difference will be between the standard and the portrait lens. Great. That's portrait and the portrait lens kit. Then we have the snapshot mode, and the snapshot mode uses a fast shutter, so increases the shutter speed, and this is used for photographing fast moving subjects. Let me see if I can emulate it. So we have a fast moving subject here. Then we use snapshot, and you can see that there is some motion blur, but it's very reduced due to the fast shutter. Let's try to use the normal photo mode for this. And you can see the difference, right? So here the shutter speed was not as high as in the snapshot mode. It's not sharp, of course, but it's much better than the normal photo mode. So if you want to photograph your kids running or your dogs running, then it can be a good idea to use snapshot mode. Then we have video mode. In video mode, again on the bottom, you can choose between different zoom ratios, and you can also have some beauty modes. Then you can toggle on or off the flash. Then you can have some digital stabilization. So the ultra stabilization here is a digital stabilization, and the phone also warns you or informs you maintain ample lighting for better image quality. So this needs good lighting, and this works on top of the optical image stabilization. So, and this is also the reason why it will crop in to use the margins for stabilization. Then you can choose the resolution, 1080p, 4K and 8K, and dependent on what you are shooting, you can also choose the frame rate. So in 1080p, you can choose between 30 and 60. sorry, in 4K also, and in 8K is limited to 30p. And on the bottom here, you can also directly choose the default resolution and frame rates. So also very nice shortcut. You have, of course, some quick settings, the aspect ratio, grid lines, level meter, shake reduction, reminder, watermark, and you also have a teleprompter. And you can also choose the microphone, if it's the phone microphone, the Bluetooth microphone, or if it's a peripheral microphone when you use it tethered. And there are also settings for autofocus. And the teleprompter is basically a teleprompter, right? You can enter some text and this will be displayed on top of the screen, and you can use it for reading scripts, for example. And that's basically the video mode and the more settings we already went through. Then we have a Pro mode. Pro mode can be used for photo and for video by tapping down below. And in Pro mode, you can basically control all your shooting parameters, like for example, exposure value, the ISO, right? You can increase the ISO. You can choose the shutter speed, your white balance, and you can always set anything to auto by clicking on the A, right? And you can, for example, decide that you also only want the ISO to be automatically regulated while keeping a shutter speed of 1/200. And you can also change the focus, for example, so change between autofocus and manual focus. And this is the metering. So this is basically how the phone measures the perfect exposure. There's a average metering, a center weighted metering, where it kind of only takes the center part of the screen for measuring. And we have spot metering, and spot metering is only the middle. So this is when you want to really focus on a specific subject and nail the exposure of this subject. I most of the time leave it at center weighted metering. Then on the top, you can choose the quality, JPEG, RAW, and Super RAW. And you can also choose different color styles. And then you have the quick settings. Most of them are the same, but we have some new settings. For example, bracketing. So you can turn bracketing on and then choose exposure bracketing, for example, to take 3 shots with 0.3 difference in exposure. This is good for challenging situations where you don't really know how to expose, or if you want to use the shots for HDR later on. Then we have interval shooting, so you can say take 300 photos with interval of 30 seconds. But it will just take the photos and will not render a time lapse out of the taken photos. And then something special, we have the size horizon. So if you are shooting with the ultra wide or the standard, it will basically show you the distortions you will get when shooting a photo, right? So this is very helpful if you are shooting landscapes or architecture, then you can see when you will have minimal distortion in the image, right? So if you have it like this, you will have some distortion, and if the phone is more or less parallel to what you want to shoot, then the distortions are very minimal. So this is very helpful, and every time you can click on the info button and you get more help instructions and information to the different options and parameters. So this is the size horizon. I don't know what the complete word is. Size horizon, whatever. Okay, that's Pro mode. Then we have cinematic portrait. This is a video mode that generates a blurry background, and you can choose how strong you want to have the effect. You can turn it off or change the strength of the effect. Click to info to get more information on it. Then when we click to more, we have the high resolution mode, nothing special. It will produce a 50 megapixel high resolution image. Then we have the panorama mode. This is also right. You will move your phone how it is depicted here, and then you will have a panorama. Then we have the Ultra HD document mode, basically used for scanning documents. Slow motion, you can shoot 1080 up to 240 FPS or 720p up to 480 FPS, and you can also choose the default frame rate, and the phone will also render the slow motion clip afterwards. In time-lapse mode, you can on the top choose the resolution and frame rate. So the final clip will be a 4K clip at 30 FPS. You can choose the stabilization, standard stabilization, or Then you can disable grid lines, level meter, shake reduction, reminder, and the watermark. Then for the shooting parameters, currently it's set to auto, and there the phone basically decides what are the best settings. You can also say I want to do a time lapse of traffic or moving crowds and clouds or sunrises and sunsets, or I want to have day to night transition. I want to show how shadows are moving. So this is very nice because these are some common presets and you don't have to think about what kind of conditions you need, but you also can change something, the duration, for example. At the moment it's automatic or indefinitely until you stop, but you can also say do it for 120 minutes up to 300 minutes. And then you also have some pro settings. So of course you can also choose your own shutter speed, white balance, and autofocus for the time lapse, which is also sometimes very necessary when conditions are changing, for example, very rapidly. Then you want to keep all the settings the same. Then we have long exposure mode, and we also have some presets for long exposure: flow of traffic, night graffiti, waterfalls, mysterious mist, star trails, and basically also some presets you can choose. You can also choose the duration you want to have, and these are the presets here. This is the icon for the presets, and you can also choose some color presets like this green and orange, depends on what you want to shoot, blue eyes, and also a little image, preview image, how this might look, blue and orange, silver orange. So different color presets that make the light or the long exposure more interesting. You have the info button to get more information about the different presets, also very nice. And you have the quick settings, and these are at this point known. Super moon mode, this is similar to the Xiaomi 14 Ultra, pretty fancy. You can add images on top of the moonshot. The best results are achieved in the middle of the lunar month when the moon is bright and not obscured by clouds or buildings. And then you can combine the supermoon with a custom background image for a creative look. I'm pretty sure that I will definitely not use this mode. How can I exit it? No. So this is the supermoon mode. Then we have Astro Mode, and you always get, when you open the mode the first time, a little introduction. And in Astro Mode, this you can choose stabilization. You can have this augmented AR to show you what you are looking at, right? So as you can see, this now shows the sign of Aquila, for example. So if you look at the night sky, you can identify what you have. Then we have Astro Portrait, right? When you want to shoot a portrait in front of the sky, you can click to information. Quick settings are known, so this is definitely something you can play around with. Then we have landscape and architecture mode, and you can choose you can have a horizon correction. This is similar to the mode I showed you before. And you also have a miniature effect, and this will basically work like a tilt shift lens and it uses blurring of the background and sides to have this miniature effect. And this is best seen when you're shooting a city scene, for example. Yeah, super night mode can be activated when you do it at night. Then we have the food photography mode, which obviously is used for shooting food. You can change the aperture, and you also have some presets for food photography. And we have live photo, and what live photo does is the following. If I click shoot now, then the phone will record some frames, and if you click and hold the final image, then these frames will be played. So you have a little video, some frames before clicking the shutter and some frames after clicking the shutter. And last but not least, there is night mode. Some options: you can take a night panorama, you can have long exposure, then you have the super moon mode. So basically every single mode that I showed you before is now combined into night, which is kind of handy because then you don't need to go into all the more modes, but just you can just enter night mode and have all the different night photography modes available, and everything other is the same. And that's basically the whole camera app of the Vivo X100 Pro. And that's it. That was my video about the camera, or the camera app of the Vivo X100 Pro. I hope this was interesting. If you have any questions regarding the camera or the camera features, the software in general, then just leave me a comment. Also would like to hear from you how you like the Vivo X100 Pro in general, and also the camera app. Thanks for watching. See you in one of my next videos. Until then, take care and bye.